Good evening, everyone. Looking for confirmation that you can hear me. Sorry. Yep, there's Will. So, sorry I got caught up doing some other stuff and just did not realize how much time had passed. It already seems like midnight to me anyway with the since I still hadn't got used to the time change and how dark it gets. Can't wait for it to come back. I think is it 60 days we've got to go? I hope it's not 90. But anyway, welcome to the first live stream of 2025. Got some pretty significant changes to announce for CCKF, and got our schedule to announce. So we can, not sure where to start with the changes. So number one, 63 days. I thought it was around 60 days, Mike, so I appreciate that. So let's talk about one of the changes that we're coming up with for 2025. I had mentioned a couple times last year that I was looking to simplify the trail, and I've taken a couple steps to do that. And so for one change, there will not be an Angler of the Year race in 2025. There will be no points. Mainly because, one, it's tough to keep up with the points, and the state championship, the qualification based on AOI never materialized. So I just felt like, why go through all the trouble of AOI to not have it. So Rick, this is the first thing I've said, is that there will be no AOI race for 2025. So what we're going to be are just a series of tournaments. And change number two, we will no longer be using Tourney X or Fishing Chaos. Instead, there will be a new tournament software that we will use called Fish Donkey, I believe it's what it's called. And the reason being is that Fish Donkey is 100% free. So there's no fees taken out from the anglers. It is Fish Donkey. No fees taken out of the out of your entry in order to do the software. $650 for Tourney X was hard to swallow, at least for me last year, and I just didn't have a good experience with Fishing Chaos the year previous or 2 years previous. So I'm going to go with this new software called Fish Donkey. So that's two changes: no AOI and a change in the management software. Number three, another big change. We will no longer be doing online payments of any type. For those that don't know, the IRS is cracking down this year, and some things are going into effect. If you receive more than $600 from any online payment, whether it's Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, whoever, if you receive more than $600, that software is now required to, or that app is now required to send you a W-9 for taxes. Another reason is because when all of that entry money comes into any account that's in my name, that's a pretty serious tax implication for me. You know, when you're running $20,000 plus a year, taking it in and then paying it right back out. That's a pretty big tax implication and a burden to have to track everything. So in order to keep it simple, no more online payments. So this will be the first time you hear me say this tonight. We're going old school, cash at the ramp, cash payout at the ramp. So cash on the day of, cash in on the day of, cash out on the day of. That is going to bring in itself some complications or some challenges, right? Because you're going to have to see me the morning of prior to fishing the tournament. And if we fish with multiple boat ramps, that is that's going to cause a bit of a headache that morning, right? If you're not fishing the same ramp, it's where the registration is. You've got to get there early and pay, and then get to the get to where you're going to fish. We'll continue to tweak this a little bit as we get closer to kicking off the season. Some of the lakes that won't be such a big deal. Some of the lakes it'll be a little harder. So we will have to figure out some more details as we get closer as far as the payments. But yeah, when looking at simplifying, we're kind of going back to the way kayak tournaments used to be. They've gotten big and they've gotten complicated. And when I started CCKF, it was started kind of as a trail for people to get into tournament kayak fishing. And I lost track of that myself and tried to get too big. So this is kind of a step backwards in getting to that. I should have written down notes for all this stuff. Because I'm kind of waiting. I'm about to drop a bombshell, and I'm just wanting to make sure that I mention everything else prior to this one. So, cash in, cash payments, registration, cash payment payouts, change in tournament software. Basically, we're going to be fishing larger scale wildcats. If you look at the way we did the wildcats, it's larger scale. There. We will probably still do a tournament championship. I'm planning to do a tournament championship, but without points. Qualifications get a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Qualifications get a little more complicated. So I had been considering the top 5 at every tournament qualifies for the championship. I may up that. We may up it to. We just need to see. It's hard to tell at this point if we're not doing points or the same, or we're going to have the same top 5 every tournament, and then only have 5 in the championship. And so we may open that up to the top 10 after we get a couple tournaments under our belt and see how many people we get qualifying. So, can't think of anything else. So, I guess I'm just going to go ahead and drop this one. This will definitely be the most controversial. Sorry, I'm trying to block that lamp over there with my mic screen. Probably the biggest change for 2025 is we're not going to allow forward-facing sonar in CCKF. Last year, it's all I heard. Sorry. Last year, it is literally all I heard. Complaints about forward-facing sonar. And, you know, I'm still not saying whether it's right or wrong. I don't have it. It's more of a maybe cost prohibitive for me more than anything else. I'm not fundamentally against it, but I do think it lowers or levels the playing field a little bit more. I struggled with this decision, but we're not the only tournament trail in town. If you want to say, I mean, CKA is just right up the road. It's not that far away. It's not that much farther to go fish a CKA event. They allow forward fishing sonar. All we kept hearing on the internet in personal comments to me is complaints about forward fishing sonar. So here's an experiment. Let's do a tournament trail without forward fishing sonar in the kayak world, and let's just see how it goes. Will that change next year? Maybe. But let's try it this year without. I don't 100%. I've not messed with forward facing sonar that much. I'm hoping that the transducer, if you have it, hopefully the transducer is easily removable. If not, some of the large bass organizations, and I can't remember which one it was, they have one of them said you can use forward facing sonar day one and you cannot on day two. And they provide these caps, these covers that go over the transducer of the forward facing sonar transducer. It might be that we can impose something like that. And it'll be enforced two different ways. It'll have to be self-enforced, number one. And then number two, it's just another thing for other anglers to watch out for. I don't think if we say no forward-facing sonar, I don't know of anyone that does or has fished with us that I would think would put that transducer in the water and use it. But we just have to, it's just a thing to watch out for. So yeah, we're kind of going old school. Some of our tournaments will be single ramp where we all launch the same place. Some will be multi-ramp. That's why I went with the free judging software as opposed to that's a good question, Clay. I can't answer that right now. Clay's question is, does it include 360 sonar? As I understand it, 360 sonar is basically like a side view, except it's in a 360-degree pattern, and it does not show fish movement the way that LiveScope and some of these others do. I will take note of that. I'll look into it, and we'll have a decision soon. My initial thought is it probably would not exclude or it would not make 360 illegal. But I'll do some more research and get back on that one. Sorry, just trying to think some more. But yeah, just trying to back it off a step, trying to make it simpler. Last year was a tough year for me personally. At the end of the season, I had a lot of doubts as to whether we would continue to have CCKF, and these decisions are a result of that. These changes are a result of that. And like I said, in trying to make things simpler. That's right, Michael. There are no membership fees. It's a show up and fish. It's a show up and fish thing now. So, yep. Justin says the 360 it does if it's at high speed. In other words, does show fish motion, but still not as live as forward facing sonar. But there are some benefits. I personally don't know anyone that has it. Only person I've ever seen with it was Brandon Polinick. So I'll continue to research that and make that decision. So with that, I'm going to address the schedule, and there will still be some opportunities to camp. Camping will be tougher at some locations. Let's say we were going to have a tournament at Baden Lake, and I ended up camping at Baden Lake. That means you would have to come to the launch next to the campground to pay your fee the morning of. And that's just not convenient for everyone. So, can everyone else hear me? I got one person that says they can't hear me. Did I go out or am I good? I'm going to keep talking, and if you don't hear me, just say something. Okay, Michael hears me. So I will be posting a graphic on the Facebook group and page and on Instagram that kind of highlights these changes, as well as a graphic for the schedule. And with that, let's talk about the schedule. We're going to kick off March 22nd back at Hyco. Hyco has been a good lake as far as people catching fish. It's one boat ramp, so it at least makes the first tournament very simple. So whether you camp or do not camp, you'll be at the right place that morning for the launch. So March 22nd, Hyco. The next event, April 12th, will be at Falls Lake. May 31st will be at Randleman. Should be a good time of year to fish Randleman. Also, most people launch from that one boat ramp, so easy to handle. June 28th, we'll go to Harris. Harris only has 2 boat ramps, and it's not too much trouble to go to one boat ramp before you go to the other to fish there. July 19th, I do have down the Raleigh Rumble. So, but I have asterisks beside that. So that gives us 4 previous tournaments before we get to the Raleigh Rumble to see how the in-person registration is going. It might be that for the Raleigh Rumble, we have a central location for registration. So you come to some point and you register and you pay. Now, when I say registration, you can register on the app, on this Fish Donkey. You can sign up for the tournament and that will be your registration. But to pay, we'll have some, we will either have designated people at different lakes to take the payments, or we'll have a central place to pay, or it could be that we do an in-person thing the day before. But we've got till July to work out how we work the Raleigh Rumble as far as the payments. Maybe that would be the only online payment tournament we have. Couple, like I said, just a couple details to work out, but not so bad. August 9th, we'll be going to Lake McIntosh. Again, 2 boat ramps, 10-ish minutes apart. So not so bad there. We could have a payment at both locations. And last but not least, on September 6th, we'll go to Jordan, and we'll work out. By then we've got plenty of experience under our belts on this one. We'll know how many anglers are showing up for tournaments. So as we do this, if 3 or 4 tournaments in, we notice our numbers are way down, well, then we just all start launching from the same ramp and really go old school. It's really kind of just an experiment to simplify things. But this is just what we're going to do. So with that, March 22nd, Heiko, April 12th, Falls, May 31st, Randleman, June 28th, Harris, July 19th, Raleigh Rumble, or an alternate lake if we can't figure out how to do the payments. August 9th, McIntosh, September 6th, Jordan. So I know these are big changes. Like I said, just not wanting to do the same thing that everybody else does, and kind of wanting to get back to the roots of that starter type club, feeder type club, competitive, where anybody could show up and compete, and just is what it is. So, yeah, Will, that's exactly the kind of situation I was hoping for. Was either cover the live scope transducer, but exactly what you're saying. So what Will has said is he has a Lowrance to have 2 units in case something like this happened. That way he didn't have to take the Garmin transducer off because it's run internally. So as long as he doesn't have his Garmin head unit on, and he has his Lowrance, which is non-live scope enabled, yeah, that's perfectly legal. So this is the kind of thing I was hoping for, that we could find some solutions for the guys that do have forward-facing sonar, so that they could continue to fish with us, and it not be a controversial thing with them fishing. I mean, so I think the decision is still going to be controversial with some, but glad to see, that, like in Will's case, that we're not going to really have to exclude some people. All right. So that's all I can really think of right now. Like I said, I will be, Brian. So the entry fees, number one, are going to be lower. And then number two, we're going to try to make them even numbers, so that it's easy to deal with cash at the ramp, right? So I'm just going to throw numbers out there. We haven't got there yet, but let's just say $20 for the tournament and $5 for the big fish. If everybody could show up with a 20 and a 5, or if we do 20 and 10, everybody show up with a 20 and a 10. And that just makes it easy. It makes it easier. But I will also make sure that I have plenty of cash and change on hand when we're doing it, so that if somebody doesn't have what they, doesn't have the exact fee, that we'll be able to give change. But yeah, definitely going to try to make it simple at the ramp. So, all right, guys, I will get this stuff posted pretty quickly. Probably tomorrow morning, actually. But just wanted to give everybody a chance to know of what was happening. Appreciate all you guys tuning in and watching. Appreciate the positive comments and the willingness to work with us. And we'll see how it goes. All right, guys. Have a good night. Tight lines.